In this lesson, we're going to be working on photos. I'm going to be working in a photo editing software program. We're going to be talking about DPI, pixel resolution, and what size photo you need to import into your presentation. We're going to be taking that photo and exporting it out as three different files: BMP, JPEG, and GIF file. We're then going to import that photo into PowerPoint. We're going to import that into an object in PowerPoint, like an arrow. We're going to import that as a background into PowerPoint. And we're going to show you things that you may not know about PowerPoint. This lesson is all about photos. The first thing that we're going to be doing is importing our photo into a photo editing software. I use Adobe Photoshop, but Adobe Photoshop can be quite expensive. And if you can't afford a program like that, there actually are two very good programs on the internet that are actually free. One is called GIMP and the other one's Paint.net. Again, that's GIMP, that's GIMP, and Paint.net. These two programs are great for photo retouching. They even come with layers that you can add layers to your photos. So I'd give these two programs a try because they are outstanding. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is opening our photo. So I want to go up to File, Open, and I want to select my file. In this case, I'm just going to select a sample, and I'm going to open. What you're going to need to decide is how large my photo needs to be before I export it to PowerPoint. Let's say you're running a presentation that's 1024 by 768 pixels. We're going to need this photo to fill up the entire background of that screen. I already took the liberty and adjusted this photo to fit that resolution. So if I actually go to Image and Image Size, you will see that that size of that pixel dimensions is 1024 by 768. So we know that when we import this photo into PowerPoint, it's going to fill up the entire screen and it's going to look really nice at that resolution. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, what about the DPI? How important is the DPI? And to be honest with you, the DPI is not important at all when it comes to screen resolution. What is important is the pixel size. The DPI really doesn't matter at all. That's more for documents. Whenever you print the photo out, you need a higher DPI for documents. But for screen resolution, you've heard like 72 DPI, 96 DPI, all that kind of stuff. Screens don't really work that way. It's the pixels that matter. And as long as you have a 1024 by 768 for that screen resolution, you're going to be fine. Anything less than that, if you enlarge the photo, then you're going to start seeing that pixelation look, that the pixels end up getting bigger and you see these like enlarged squares on the screen. But at the same time, you don't need a photo that's larger than that, because if you have a photo that's larger than that resolution, then you're really, the only thing that you're doing is you're chewing up hard disk space, because it's not going to look any better on screen because your screen resolution is only 1024 by 768. Here's an example. If I look at the pixel dimensions of my photo and it's 1024 by 768, and I look at the resolution, or DPI, and that's 300, and I want to change that 300 to 10 DPI, I can go down to this resolution and change that to 10. Now if I keep my width at 1024 and my height at 768 and hit OK, you'll see that that photo hasn't changed at all because of the DPI. It's still the same. It looks exactly the same. That's why DPI is not important at this point. So now I'd like to save this file so I can import it into PowerPoint. But what do I save it as? A GIF, a JPEG, or a BMP? Well, I'm going to save it as a BMP, and I'll tell you why. First, a GIF is only 256 colors, where a JPEG and a BMP are millions of colors. So you don't really want to save a photo as a GIF file. Now there are times that you might want to save an object or something like that as a GIF file, but when it comes to photos, it's really best to show them in millions of colors. They look the best. Now a JPEG is a compressed file, but PowerPoint automatically compresses the presentation. So if you put a BMP into a PowerPoint presentation, it's going to become just as small as if you were to put a JPEG in there. So there's really no difference in size. One of the reasons why I don't work with JPEGs is because if you import a JPEG into PowerPoint and you open that PowerPoint presentation inside a newer version of PowerPoint and then you export it back out into an older version, you can get a thin line on the left side and the top of your photo. And I've ran into this so many times and nobody knows why this line appears. I guess it's just one of those things that happens within programs that you can't really comprehend. So that's why I recommend the PMP, because you won't have that problem with a BMP file. And being that PowerPoint automatically compresses its presentations, you don't have to worry about size, because the photos are actually not linked to a PowerPoint presentation. They're actually embedded within the presentation. Now I want to save this file out. So I want to go to File, Save As. I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to give it a name, Water 01. I'm going to save this out as a BMP. I'm going to hit Save. I'm going to want to save this as 24-bit. So I say OK. Now 24-bit is millions of colors. There's really no reason to save it as 32-bit. That's more colors than we need for an on-screen presentation. Now the next step that you'll see in part 2 is importing the photo into PowerPoint.